Good morning, everybody. The sun is shining, at least at this exact second right here. I don't know what it's doing at your place, but we're going to make the best of it. So today on our How Do I, we're going to talk about using decorative stitches in maybe ways that you haven't thought of. Now, you may be a person that loves every single decorative stitch that comes on your machine, and you love the fact on some machines you can make your own and you're having the best time with it. Some people are like, oh, my machine does more than a straight stitch? Probably. So we're going to talk about some fun things that you can do. Of course, decorative stitches can be used on garments, they can be used on craft projects and the like. So what we're going to do today is actually a customer request. We just recently had our camp quality. I don't know if you were able to go or not. Hope you did. We had a great time. And for the camp counselors, we had little friendship bracelets that I had made, and the process was a bit daunting, not daunting, but I had to make 64 of them. So it was quite an undertaking. And so some of them turned out better than others because I did them in the embroidery hoop. I used embroidery software, all that sort of stuff. And a customer had asked me if I could share how to make them. And the reality is that sure, but the software I used was specific for a type of machine or a brand of machines, so it wasn't translatable to everybody. So I thought, why not do it so anyone can make friendship bracelets, and it's really super fun. So I'm going to show you how to. Oh dear, did I lose him already? He's in here somewhere. Oh my goodness. Well, if I've lost, oh, there he is. So I made this really cute one here, and this, can you see? So it's got the different colors of embroidery threads going through it, and then the decorative stitches holding that all down. And then also I made a bookmark. Now, isn't that cute? And so the process that you're going to go through is pretty much the same for whether you're doing a bracelet or you're doing, well, you could make a wide bracelet, whatever you want to do. So it's really fun. It's really easy. So I thought I would show you how that's done. Now, I do want to point out a couple of differences, and this one's kind of in progress. I did not wash out the stabilizer. Let me open it up so you can see it. But I want you to see that you can probably see the white edge on either side. That's actually the wash away stabilizer. The light blue in there is the ribbon, and that's the base that we're going to work on. And you can see that this stitch is really kind of fun, and it's big, and you can really see the embroidery thread going through the middle. So this stitch is a 9mm stitch. So basically 3/8 of an inch. So this is a 3/8 of an inch ribbon. If you use a narrower one like this, this is a quarter inch ribbon, and I needed to take it down to 6mm. So just kind of look at your stitches and give that a peek. And if you don't know the metric conversion of your ribbon, all you do is take one of your little tapes, measure tapes that have metric on one side and inches on the other. And this little guy actually does say it's a 1/4 inch or 6mm, but sometimes we don't keep the roll, right? So all you have to do is just I'm going to see if I can get in here, just lay it down on top of your measuring tape, and each little ticky is 1mm. Can we even see it? Carrie's doing a great job at trying to make that happen. But that's how you figure out how many millimeters it is, okay? And then your machine will coordinate with that. Okay, so I would not want to use a 9mm stitch on this because the ribbon is too narrow. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, so we're going to need a couple of different supplies. We're going to need some ribbon because that's what we're going to stitch onto. And then we're going to need some embroidery threads. And, get a couple of colors. Find some colors you like. I actually chose like 5 or 6 colors that I liked that I thought worked well together. And then some tools that I need. I like my little patchwork scissors. These are great because they have a serrated little edge to them. Don't do that because you might cut yourself. I was being really soft, but I don't want to be responsible for anybody's band-aids. But they hold on to the embroidery thread really, really well. So like these have the tails. I haven't trimmed them yet, but if you've ever trimmed a grouping of embroidery threads, they slip and they want to go left, right, whatever, they don't pay attention. So this is a good way to get a nice trim or a good bang cut, you know, whichever works for you. And then I did use a friction pen, and I have a regular ballpoint pen here too. And I think that's about all I'm going to pull out of my little box of goodies for right now. Okay, for my ribbon, if I am using this lovely ribbon here, it's just one of the colors that I thought looked nice with my threads, is why I chose it. Oh, your Quilter Select glue stick, you want that too. Let me pull him out. Let me pull him out. He was right here. Okay. There's my Quilter Select glue stick. I love that. Okay, so this is kind of nice because you're going to be able to see some of the ribbon from the back side, and you can also see it peeking through on the front side. So find a color that you like. Load your machine with a bobbin thread that is colored, because the white bobbin thread looks like bobbin thread. Right? So why not have it be cute on the back? So like on the bookmark, can you see that bright turquoise? That's the color of bobbin thread that I actually have in the machine right now. So it's kind of fun. You can also do variegated, which is really fun. Okay, so I'm going to cut myself a length of this, and I've been working with the idea that my bracelet, the stitched part of the bracelet or the bookmark here is 6 inches. And then we have the extra tail on either side. So I'm just going to get this ready, and I am going to cut myself 6.5 inches, right? So I have 6.5 inches here. And then I'm going to use the glue stick, and I don't know if Carrie can get up here on this one. And then after I show you this, then I am going to show you the other supplies that I'm using. So I'm just going to take my glue stick and put that just on the ends there, and I'm going to fold them under to give a finished edge. Okay, and what I did is I have the shiny side or the pretty side of the ribbon on the back side, and I folded it toward the not so pretty side. This is actually double-faced satin ribbon, so it has pretty on both sides. But if you had a plain side, then turn your little ends in toward the not as pretty side. Okay, so the other things that we need for our to make our little project is you want to use Wet and Gone tacky. Now, if I'm so sorry, I might sneeze. I feel a sneeze coming on. So if I do, I'm so sorry. Anyway, so you can use the Wet and Gone off of the big roll, where here I cut just 1-inch strips, or you can purchase the roll, which is actually really convenient because it's already pre-cut at 1 inch. So Wet and Gone is a washout stabilizer. Wet and Gone tacky is a washout that has sticker stuff on the back side, and you usually use it in your hoop with the paper side up. That way you can tear off the paper and it's sticky towards you, so you can lay something down on top of it and hold it in place. And we're going to be using it similarly today, but we're not putting it in a hoop. We're going to be sewing with it. Okay. Now there's other things that are really handy. You're going to see we're going to use a wash away topper. This is the Floriani wash away topper, and we're going to use this to make our everything stay together and not be sticky. You'll see the whole process here in a second. And then anytime you're doing decorative stitches, this is really pretty cool. This is the Quilter Select Tearaway. And what this is, let me take just one piece. I cut several strips for myself because I like to have these next to my sewing machine anytime I'm doing decorative stitching. If you're doing a decorative stitch or even a buttonhole, you want to have stabilizer in there to keep the stitches flat. Otherwise, your fabric might tunnel and bunch up. So this is a very lightweight tearaway stabilizer, and on one surface it's really smooth, and the other side feels a little bit rough. You know, you can feel the stabilizer. This smooth side has just this ever so slight light coating that when you put fabric down and you iron it, it actually sticks. So it will stay right where you want it to go. So if you're working on a blouse and you want to put some decorative stitches on there and you don't want the fabric to bunch up, you just iron this to the fabric. Then you can stitch it down and then tear it away when you're done. And it does a great job of keeping your stitches nice and smooth. So if you're working with a piece that is not cooperating and you're not getting great stitches, just throw a piece of this underneath and it tears off really ever so easily, and it's very lightweight. So it's not like using a regular tearaway stabilizer that you use for embroidery. That's really heavy. This is very light. The reason this was developed the way it is because it tears ever so gently away from your stitches, so it's not going to break your threads when you pull it away if you're using a decorative stitch. Okay, so that's kind of the idea of what that is used for. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start with planning our bracelet here. So what I'm going to do is get a couple of pieces of pink tape. This is the Embroidery Perfection tape, and we're going to use that to hold our little guy down. So I'm going to peel off the paper backing, and to do that, you got the paper side and you have the stabilizer side. If you do a quick dog-ear pinch toward the paper side, you're going to see that the paper wants to stay folded, but the stabilizer doesn't, so then you can very easily remove your paper from that. So I'm going to set this down, sticky side up, and I'm going to put a piece of tape to hold that in place. Okay? This is just for planning. So obviously I'm not going to stitch it right here, but I want to get everything laid out. So this being the case, I have this piece is actually 12 inches long, and I want my 6-inch ribbon to go in the middle. So I just need to know where my 3-inch mark is, which is right here. So that's 3 inches, and I want to come in 3 inches here. So I'm going to have my ribbon in between the two. When you go to put your ribbon down, put the folded side up, because this will be covered by all your embroidery threads and the back can be nice and smooth. So I'm going to line that up there, and it doesn't have to be perfect because, you know, hey, we're doing something fun and creative, and so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. But see how the sticky stabilizer just holds it right in place? And I noticed that that little guy had a little bend in him, so I'm not liking that too much. So I'm going to come back. There, that makes me more happy. Okay, so now it's being held in place for me. I'm perfectly happy. Now what we're going to do is start decorating our little piece here. But we've got to make the cord. So here is a piece of cord that I made. And can you see how it's twisted there? It's really pretty. And it's going to be perfectly blended together because it actually is made from the embroidery thread. You can make several pieces of cord, and this is just a simple one, but you could put layers and layers of cord together and even different colors of cord to get different colors of twists together, and then that way you end up with something really cool that you could use for hanging an ornament, or this is also great for belt loops on a garment. So let me show you how you make the cord. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need some thread, and I'm going to use a length of thread. Let's see, I want, if I did 24, that was 30, so 6, so 1.5 times the length of what you want. So is what I'm going to go for. So I need 12 inches of cord, so I'm going to do that 1.5 times, and there's my one strand that's 1.5 times in length. So I'm going to just fold this back and forth. So basically I have 4 pieces of thread that are 18 inches long. Okay, you can cut them individually if you want, but doing one, and you know what? That's not going to work. I lied. You want to double it and then add. So I need 30 inches of thread because it's going to become half as big as it was, right? So that was 24. Well, we're going to go with that. That's about 30. Okay, because what I was doing is I was actually going to the 12-inch side, and if I cut it at 18 inches, that would make a strand that's 12 inches, but we're going to fold it in half. So actually I needed, twice that. So I needed, 32 inches, 36 inches, somewhere like that. Okay, so here's my piece, and I'm going to cut that right here because now I have my 4 strands. Okay, right? So you got 4 strands. Now, you all have a cord making tool and in your sewing room. Did you know that? It's your bobbin winder. So I'm going to take my bobbin. This is the top of my bobbin. This is the bottom of my bobbin because on this machine it is specific how you put that on. Some machines don't care. But I want my short little tail to be on the bottom and the long tail out of the top. Okay? So we're going to come over here and no. Sorry, I had my foot in the way and poor Carrie can't get in where she needs to go. So I'm just going to pop this onto the machine, and then I'm going to engage my bobbin winder. Now there is a speed on your bobbin winder. I'm going to take it down to be slow because I don't want this to get away from me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this at an angle, not straight up because I don't want to pull off the bobbin. So I'm going to hold it at an angle and grip the end nice and tight, because when you turn on that bobbin winder, it's going to start to wind, and it is twisting your threads together to make yourself a cord. Now you can start to feel it when it starts to kind of twist on itself. So now, or it wants to, you can feel it, you'll feel it start to pull. So now what we're going to do is fold that in half, and I'm going to take off that bobbin. Okay, so now I have it all in half, and I'm twisting it, kind of helping it along, and when I let it go, it's going to do a springy thing, but that's okay because then I'm just going to smooth it out. And now it will untwine some of it because it had some extra twist. But now I have a nice little cord. The one end is where the fold is, so it's nice and smooth. And then this end, I'm simply going to tie a knot to make sure they don't come undone. So I'm just going to bring that up. And right where my thumbnail is where I want that knot to be made. So there's my knot. So now I have a knot at the end, holding it together, and then I have a nice long strand. And it's really pretty because it has that twist to it. So it's really quite lovely. Okay, so now we can use these pieces. We're going to just lay our pieces on our ribbon here. Now my pieces I actually have are longer than I need. So actually I think what I will do is just tie a knot in the middle here. So I have a place where I can snip them apart. Then I'll have 2 instead of just 1 because I made mine at home really long. So there's 1, and then I'll tie another knot just about a 1/4 inch away from that, and I will snip right in between them. So I have the 2 knots right there, and then we'll just cut right in between. So then we'll have our 2 lengths. Okay, so before I start really placing these exactly where I want them to go, I'm going to take and, well, maybe I'll get one more ready. What do you think? How about the bright green? That's kind of a fun color, isn't it? So once you get these prepped and you do the decorative stitching, this is a real fun thing to do with nieces and grandchildren and stuff like that. Really fun. Or heaven's sakes, I think my daughter would really like this too. So you can make as the style that you want, use the fibers and the colors of thread that you want. Ooh, wouldn't it be cool with metallic thread? I think that would be really awesome. So you could do all that fun stuff. So there, I've got 3 different colors. So do as many as you want. If it's narrower, you're going to end up with fewer strands. If it's wider, then you can do more strands. So like this was 5 strands here, and then this one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was 10 colors. 10 strands, 5 different colors in this one. So let's go ahead. And now I'm going to take my glue stick. I'm going to put some glue stick on the end there so I can get them started. I have, these are about 12 inches long. So my wash away stabilizer is 12 inches. And notice I didn't put glue down the whole way because it dries really super fast. So I thought it'd be good to get the end placed where I want it to go. Then we can work with the other way. So as I was saying, once you get these all placed how you want them, then you can let your your niece, your whoever it is, they can go to town sewing, but they might have a fun time placing the ribbons too. However, it is a little bit more fiddly to place the thread on those ribbons. Okay, so there I've got that. So I will just kind of swoop them to the side or back, and then I'm going to give myself another little bit of glue here in the middle and get those placed right in there. So there's my glue. And like I said, it dries really quickly, so you don't want to, if you go answer the phone, you're going to have to come put more glue in. Okay. All right, so we'll get that placed right there. And then I'll just do one more down here and we should be good to go.
Reva, we have people watching from all over today. We have people from Ohio, we have people from Republic, from Olympia, from Graham, from the Peninsula. Somebody from New Mexico who probably has better weather than we do. So
I would think they should. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody. This is fun to have everybody from all over, and it's kind of a treat to have people from outside our area, but we sure love seeing our locals too.
Oh, and Carrie Wilson just said she's from Chehalis, so.
All right, Chehalis. There you go. It's lovely. Okay, so how many of you use your decorative stitches? Does anybody have a fun project that you've worked with your decorative stitches? I love them. Now, what I'm going to show you is very similar to what you can do to create your own beautiful trim. So you don't have to put the threads down like I'm doing right now. You can just stitch right with decorative threads and get a beautiful, beautiful trim. Because trims are hard to find and they're extremely expensive when you do, and they're not the right color anyway. Okay, so now I still have my sticky up, so I'm going to take my piece of the wash away topper and just put that down on there, and see, it kind of makes like a little sandwich, and it seals in my the cord that I had made in with the ribbon and the on top of that stabilizer. So now I'm just going to pull this off, and now what we want to do is stitch it down with decorative stitches. Now, if you don't have a lot of decorative stitches, that's okay, because you know what? You can use a zigzag stitch if you want to, and that will work perfectly fine, and just do some fun things. And this might be kind of fun to use some of those really neat yarns that you can find. That might be fun too. But if you're going to do a bookmark, remember, low profile is better because it's got to go in the pages of a book. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put some thread in here, and we have just one little thin thing of pink. So I think I'm going to thread the machine with the pink, so that way it is more visible. Oops. Well, I'll pick that up later. Okay, so I'm just going to thread the machine. And this, if you're wondering, because you don't recognize the machine, this is the FOF Icon 2. It's a lovely machine, and it has beautiful, beautiful decorative stitches. So this is a 9mm machine, and I'm working with that 1/4 inch ribbon. So that means whatever I'm going to do, I want to make sure that I use I'm going to make sure I use a 6mm stitch. Okay, so what I've just done now is I'm looking, can you see the little red dot there and the red dot on the foot? I'm going to center my ribbon kind of with those, because I know that that's equal distance from center. The long red is the center, and then I've got the little dots on the either side. So whichever foot you're working with, just kind of pay attention to that. And I will raise my foot up one more time and get this thread and put it down below it. Okay, and I'm right on just inside the edge of that thread of the ribbon, and I'm going to have it hold it there for me for a minute. I'm going to go grab a straight stitch, just a simple straight stitch. And so now it's up and it's ready to go. So now that I showed you where I'm going to position it, I'm actually going to go ahead and run a little straight stitch just across across the back. Now it's asking me to put the dual feet on because it's smarter than I am. So I'm going to just run a little straight stitch back and forth just to anchor my ribbon or the threads to the ribbon. And then I'm going to do one a little bit down, like a third of the, I'm going to divide it into thirds here. So we're going to take it back and forth just to anchor them down, just so while I'm stitching, they don't get away from me. And when you stitch, depending on what style of stitch you choose, you're probably not going to see them at all. So I'm going to just, whoops, you got to actually push the reverse button. It's helpful. It's helpful. Let me do that one again. So touch the reverse key, not the sew key. Yeah. Okay, and then I'm going to put one more at the end, and this just helps get it all secured. And then remember, I'm using that cute turquoise thread in the back, so that's fun. Okay. All right, so now we're good to go. Let me trim these little tails off and make it a little bit more tidy on the front side. You probably would want to do that on the back as well, because anything that you got going on something like this, it's going to be reversible, so you're going to see it on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it off. And then for the back, we can just come here and trim these little guys off too, because these were the tails from the automatic thread cutter. So we just got them all trimmed. Okay. So now we're ready to sew. So let's take a look at some decorative stitches. And like I said, we're going to want to make sure that we use got him wrapped around there. We want to use nothing wider than 6 millimeter. If you go narrower than 6 millimeter, you might not catch the ribbon. So we really want to look for something that is 6 millimeters or about. So I'm going to go into just decorative stitches, and let's look through and see if we see anything that we like. This is the one that I used before, and it actually was really pretty. So I like that one. I'm going to close out my menu. So there's my stitch, and that's the size it's going to stitch out, which is too big for my ribbon. So I'm going to come in here, and that's actually 11 millimeters wide. Wow, that's a big one. So I'm going to take it down. Okay, that is, look, it won't go lower than 8 millimeters. So I'm going to have to go choose another stitch. I must have chosen this one, and because it looks very similar. So let's take this one down to 6 millimeters. And it did, but notice how now it looks squished. So let's take this down a little bit that way too, until it looks how you want it to look. Okay, so that's a really fun, a really cute little stitch. So I'm going to go ahead, and now it is asking to take the dual feet off, which is perfectly fine. And then we're going to go ahead and stitch this, and the speed is turned way down on this machine. Let's turn that up. Now, one thing to know about stitching with decorative stitches is that you should stitch at a consistent speed. So whatever speed you are, you should just keep it consistent. So what I like to do is vary my speed on the machine on the side and keep my foot in the same spot. So I have my foot pedal all the way down. It's like I floored it, but now it will be consistent in the stitching. So again, if you slow down or speed up as you're doing any type of decorative stitching, it's going to mess with how well it stitches out. So we just want this to go as smoothly as possible. So almost to the end. Yes, Carrie.
Candace says that she loves to use decorative stitches, especially for clothing, like baby items. So she does decorative stitches with that. And Roxy was just giving you a shout out. It was great to see you
Roxy.
last week at camp.
Yeah, it was good to see you too. That's a really good thing though on the baby items. I like making receiving blankets. So a real fun thing to do for that is get 2 pieces of flannel. I usually get a yard of flannel or get 45 inches of flannel, because it's 45, you know, that way you have a square. Put right sides together, straight stitch all the way around, leave yourself a hole so you can turn it out. And I curve those edges so they're easy to turn. And then do the top stitch with a decorative stitch. and then it's really cute. It's fast and easy. Okay, so we've got the little flower in there, and that pink is such a light color, but it's holding everything down. So now if you want to go in with a different color and do a different stitch, then you can do that. So let's take a different one. Okay, while I'm changing thread, what kind of stitch should we do? Should we do something that is more satiny, that maybe looks like a checkerboard, a cross stitch? What kind of stitch should we do, people? Let me know. And I'm a fast threader, so you're going to have to type quick if you're going to beat me. So let's see what you guys think. Which type of stitch should we do? Oh, I got to push the threader button. I can't sew without threading. Okay, well, I may have beaten you, so let's see what you think. I'm going to go ahead and pop my little fabric under there, and I'm going to speed it up because that's
Marianne said cross stitch.
Okay, good thinking, Marianne. That's exactly what I was thinking too. The check's in the mail. Okay, because there's some really cool cross stitch in this machine. So here's one right here. It's a cute little cross stitch, and you can see all those cross stitch designs. So you can have narrow ones. We could do a wider one. Let's see how wide that is. Oh, that's 9 millimeters. We could do a small one in the middle. Oh, you could do a small one and do 3 different ones. Do one in the middle and one on each side. But I still think I like the big chubby one because it's really cute. So let's try the chubby one. And this time I'm just going to push the go button. I'm not going to use the foot control, and let it go. And I have it at a high speed, but you notice that it regulates the speed for me, so it's not going to go way crazy fast. It's going to maintain a decent cadence. Because it's taking long stitches. If it was taking shorter stitches, it would seem to stitch faster, but it wouldn't progress much faster than it is, because it just has to take faster stitches to make the pattern. So this is a really fun stitch to use. And then at the very ends, we'll do a satin stitch, and to just kind of make it look finished and be all ready to go. Okay, we're almost done. And if you're sitting in front of the machine, you'll find it easier to keep it going straight. I know you probably are thinking, she's not doing it very straight. No, I'm not, because I can't see where I'm going. So we're almost done here, and I'm getting close. So I'm about ready to touch my reverse key or the scissor key. And what that will do is when it finishes this, it will tie off and then cut the threads for us. Okay, so now let's talk about zigzag stitches. So isn't that cute? That's looking really cute. Not perfectly straight, but it's still cute. You can see the embroidery threads popping through there. So let's go talk about zigzag stitch. So I'm going to do a zigzag stitch to kind of finish off each end. So those are usually under your basic utility stitches, and there's a stitch that is called a Zorro stitch. This stitch goes straight over, then it zags. Zig is straight, the zag is diagonal. And this stitch is meant for applique because it fills in so beautifully. So I'm going to take that, and it's already at 6 millimeters. That's fine for me. So I'm going to come in here and see where I am. If I can see where I am from where I'm sitting, and then put my foot down, and let's just stitch this together, and then I'll reverse, and we'll just do a nice little end. That's a cute green, and then we'll have it cut the thread for us. So now we have a fun little colored end there, and we'll just repeat it on this side. Back. And just try to get to the end of your ribbon, but you don't want to go off of your ribbon. Just get to the end of the ribbon. Okay, so our little ends have been capped, and now what we'll do is we'll be ready to rinse this all off. So to do that, all you have to do is pull away as much of anything that's a rinse away as you can, because you don't need all of that in there, right? And we don't need to rinse away all of this stuff either. We're going to want to trim up any of our little tails that we have and clean it up, and clean up the back. And when I was doing these at home, I did a little bit more cleaning as I went. I cut my little strands off and made sure they looked nice and neat and tidy as we went. This one I pretty much just sewed and, hope for the best. So you might take a little bit of time as you go along and get your threads trimmed as you go. Okay, because then I'll show you one reason why you want to do that is I have a loop that I got caught into the stitch. So you won't have that if you trim as you go. Okay, so now I have my my little guys done. So I want to get rid of any excess of the Wet and Gone that I can. So I'm going to pull these little guys, my little strands back because we need those. And then I'll just trim close to but not cutting off. And then that will get rid of all this extra washout stuff. It will wash out easily, but the reality is that if you're working with a washout and you have extra in there, it just takes a little bit longer, and it can just leave residue, so it's just stiffer. And it's okay if you want it to be stiff, and that's great. But if you want it to be nice and soft, then you want to rinse all of this out. So when you're working with that, warm water helps, and otherwise it goes right out. Yes, Miss Carrie, is there questions?
Yeah, 2 questions. So Marianne would like to see if you could show how to put the threads in the bobbin to twist. She'd like a close-up on that.
Yes.
And then Heidi was wondering if there's going to be a PDF available for this process.
Ooh, how about rewatching the video? It will be recorded. No, I don't have a PDF. This is just like a creative mind thing. You're an analytical person that likes things in writing, I see. But yeah, I would suggest just rewatching the video and catching that there. Okay, I will show how to make the twist again, but I want to show the ends. You can leave them loose like that because they're not going to go anywhere. But I would take the shaggy pink one. I would go below the knot and trim that off to make it look better. You could also just make a knot at the end so it's all lumped together, or braid them. This is just simply a braid that I did, and I used 2 on each side and the 1 in the middle. So with 5 strands, I just had 1. The pink was in all by himself in the middle. Okay. Right, hopefully that makes sense. And I only made mine 12 inches long. If you made them 15 inches, you would have more threads to work with. Okay, let's talk about making the cord. So the cord is really easy to make, and we're going to do that. I'm going to find my bobbin. Hold on. Find my bobbin that I dropped. Okay, so one reason why I made mine with just 4 strands is because that's really lightweight and I'm able to easily get that into the bobbin. What you want to be cautious about is having so many threads that you make it so thick that you can't get it onto your bobbin or get it back off. Okay, so let's make our little thread here, and I'll just take a 24 because we're not working with anything specific. So I'm going to take a 24-inch piece of thread, and I'm doing it 4 times. Okay, so there's 4 strands. Now, let's go a little thicker because you can go thicker. So I'm going to go 6 strands. So there's 5, and now there's 6. Okay, so this I know I'm confident, I don't know for sure because I haven't done it, but I'm confident that this will work fine in the bobbin. In the past, I've done this with many more threads, and I had a challenge. So that's why I'm, letting you know to be aware of that. Okay, on this machine, there is a specific up on the bobbin. Can you see the little rings in there? The rings are at the top of the bobbin. So I need my thread to go from the top down through the bobbin. If you're working with a machine like a Brother or a Baby Lock, they don't care. Their bobbins just go on, right? They don't, and I'm holding it too far away from the loop. The loop's not staying shut. So those ones you can go from whichever side you want to. It doesn't have to be just the top. This one is the top. But whatever bobbin you're using, whichever side the long one is on, that is now your top. Okay, because if you have the thread coming out from the bottom, it's just going to get wrapped around and cause a mess. So now I'm just going to set this on the bobbin winder. So you can see here's the tail right here, right? So I left that nice long tail out there, and here is the length of our embroidery threads that we're going to make our cord from. Okay, So I'll engage the bobbin winder. Now notice I'm not holding the thread straight up because I don't want to pull the bobbin thread, the bobbin right off the machine when it starts to twist. So I'm holding it more at an angle so that way it's not direct pressure there. I have slowed down the bobbin speed, the winding speed, and you'll feel it start to pull back in on itself. And it's feeling shorter and shorter and shorter. So that's perfectly fine. And you can even see down at the end, I've got some extra coils in there. And if right here, see there's a lump, it looks like a knot. That's because the twist is really, really tight and it's trying to really twist on itself. So we're gonna get a lot of spring back on this one.
So it went down the center hole of the bobbin, correct?
It went down the center hole of the bobbin is where I put it through. And then it's just held in there against the peg. That's the little post you put your bobbin onto. Okay, and then we fold it in half, and then I want to grab the other end of that, and notice it wants to spring right away because this one I really, really wound it tight. Oops, I'm getting the green in there too. Okay, let me get the green out. Well, we might have green in this one. I'm a mess now, so I'll get them out in a second, but let me just pull them off. Okay. So now we have this mess, and you can see, look at the little crinkles in it. See the little nubbins? That's because I overwound it. So I'm going to put a knot in this so I don't have to hold on to this the whole time. So it's easier to go and knot from the coiled, the already wound side versus trying to knot the loose ends, because what happens when you go and you try to slip the loose ends through, all they do is they just want to go everywhere. So they don't play nice. Okay, so now I've got this mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to untwist it. Can you see that? I'm going against it so I can get oh, there it went. I'm going to try to get my finger in there and split them apart. Ugh, because I want to get rid of those lumps. Okay, there it is. So there he is. So what you want to do is just kind of pull them apart. And there, you remember I said I was going to get that green out of there because I knew that once I opened it up, I'd be able to do that. So I'm going to come down here, let it kind of open up. See if there, I got that one lump out. Now I can let it start twisting back on itself again. And I should be able to let it go now, and then just smooth it out, okay? So any other lumps that you have, just smooth them, and then you get your piece, okay? So this is a great tail for, take a couple of these, and you can wind them together. Like I said, put the different colors together. Then you have something really pretty for a tassel, or, or this is great and very strong. So if you are making tassels, this is a great thing to secure them together, and it can be the hanging loop. If you want to make your own Christmas ornaments, again, this is a really, really strong, pretty cord that you can use to hang as a hanger. So it's really quite lovely. You can use it for curtain tie backs. You can use it for all sorts of things. So if you're making handbags and you want to put just a little zipper pull, you could very easily make this be your zipper pull and just, loop it through the zipper head, and then just tie a knot and then trim the ends. So the cording is a really, really fun thing to do. It's a good thing to have in the back of your mind for an arsenal for when you want to make something. But it's really fun to take those decorative stitches and make some fun things like bracelets or, whatever you might want to do. Bookmarks, or like, hey. So I hope you enjoyed our How Do I today, a little bit different. So I hope you get creative, and make sure to, share the pictures with your friends and share them with us. And you can do that on our Instagram, I assume, Carrie. Can you tell them how to post those?
Yep, so they would just go to Facebook and find Quality Sewing, or Instagram and find Quality. If they go to Instagram, they would tag Quality Sewing, so at Quality Sewing. And then if you go to Facebook, you can do it directly to our page. You can post your pictures to our Facebook page.
Well, fun. It's because we'd love to see what you do. So, but it's a fun project. And, we might have a little bit of rainy days this summer, so it might be a good project to do. So we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.